Hi, welcome to the next episode in my Kent seaside journey. Now check out the playlist if you've not seen the previous videos. I'm coming to a town that embodies the very best and the very wildest of British coasts, and that's Margate. Now if we look around, what we're seeing is exactly what drew one of Britain's greatest painters here nearly 2 centuries ago, the light. And that was Joseph my Lord William Turner, who claimed the skies over Thanet were the loveliest in all of Europe. So it's that connection to art, history, and the sublime power of the sea and not getting run over, which is one of the original favourite holiday destinations for Londoners back in the 18th century. So the place is famed for its sea bathing and its groundbreaking amusement park, Dreamland. So today I'm diving into that history, and I'll see if I can get into Dreamland. There's the Shell Grotto, the cutting-edge Turner contemporary, and while trying to find these forgotten secrets in the back alleys and the towns, I'm going to explore. So let's just take a seat under this lovely Victorian pavilion. And then ultimately what we're going to do is walk down the Central Parade, investigate the old town. Let's cross over, not get run over. Yeah, we'll investigate the old town, look at some of the old plaques. There are blue plaques. I love a blue plaque. Let me just sit down here, give you a little overview, because it's difficult walking and talking when you've got people looking at you because you've got your camera out. This is relaxing. Underneath the canopy with a lovely view. Now Margate's early history was that of a maritime port right back to the Middle Ages, and it was the limb of the Cinque Ports in the 15th century and was originally recorded as Margate. Now, what is a Cinque Port, you might ask? The Cinque Ports is an historic confederation of coastal towns, originally Hastings, Sandwich, Dover, Hythe and New Romney, and they were primarily formed in the medieval period to serve the king's naval and transport needs. Now, before a permanent Royal Navy was established, these ports were obligated by Royal Charter to provide 57 ships and crews for 15 days of annual service, particularly in the defence and the transport of the king and his armies across the Channel. So the rising point was the rise of sea bathing as medicinal purposes in the 18th century, specifically 1730s to the 1750s. Now you can't see it, but underneath the sea, the tide has come in. When the tide recedes, by the buoys or the markers, there is a bathing pool. And you had the sea being captured by, the tide going out and receding. And all along the beach here, you had bathing huts. So it was identified by a guy called Dr. John Coakley Lettsome. And he promoted the health benefits of sea air and water. They were the first. Margate vies as the title of one of England's first seaside resorts, and the first to offer sea bathing to its visitors. And they had across the beach things called the bathing machines. And these were basically, like we've got here, carriages with canvas hood to protect the bathers' modesty. Because they had, Victorian times, even Georgian times, you didn't show your body, did you? So what we're going to do now is walk along the front. I've got a few anecdotes to talk about, and I want to go hunting for some blue plaques as well. Got to cross the road. So our first stop has got to be Dreamland Theatre, and you have to think that this was big in the 50s, 60s, 70s. I think it has an Art Deco look about it, and it boasts cinema, ballroom, restaurant, licensed cafe and bars. But look, Empire of Light. Have you seen the film? I had the privilege of being in it as a movie extra. So we were filming It was a dark night. I want to say dark and stormy night, but it wasn't so stormy. And they closed off this road, and then they brought in period vehicles from the 1980s. The scene was set as the premiere of Chariots of Fire. I've got some pictures which I'll put up on the screen. And so we were all crewed up down there, and actually that building after the parasols, we were going in and out doing our scenes, but I was one of the people in a car, and so I was pulling up and cut, so we had to get back in the car and drive around, come back again. Quite action, wasn't it?
Did someone else collapse?
That was a cut, wasn't it?
Yeah. Quiet.
But yeah, we then went in, we used the inside of Dreamland as the holding area. So all of us were inside, you know, having our COVID tests and things like that. And then we had to come out, and then we walked up the stairs here and disappeared into the back of the auditorium and the cinema just down there. I don't know if it's open. It says it's free to go in. I was hoping it would be open and we could just... It's closed. Oh, what a shame. I was going to take you in. Let's go and have a quick look around the back. I might be able to go around the back. Anyway, we went into the auditorium and we had Colin Firth and Olivia Colman giving the presentation speech. So in other words, they were just about to show to us, the audience, the premiere of Chariots of Fire. There's no access there, I can't get in. So we'll just head back out onto the high street. It was a Sam Mendes movie. I haven't actually seen it, but I was in it. And we had Colin Firth. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this prestigious moment of, you know, whatever his speech was. If you've seen the film, you'll know. And then Olivia Colman comes up on the stage and she interrupts his speech and she talks about, you know, because the movie's probably about racial connotations in the 80s and, you know, equal rights, etc. So they would have us sat on some seats, then they would have filmed them doing their monologues, and then director would go, right, all of you with a number 3 or a 5 or a 7, gave us numbers, sit over on the left, sit over on the right, and they relocated us and then took different camera shots over our heads. I don't think you actually see my face. But that was Dreamland. Now, like my Herne Bay video, we've got the amusement arcades. But time doesn't really permit me to go in there today. So what we're going to do, we're going to walk to Margate Gardens, look at the clock tower, into town, the old town, Cecil Square. Then we've got a few blue plaques. I think I'll cross at the crossing, shall I? Then we'll head down to the Turner Contemporary. I'll give you a bit of anecdotal information along the way. It's one of the magical things. A Kent beach that's actually got sand on it. You just don't normally get it. Got the harbour arm coming along there. Now let's go and have a look at this tower, or clock tower. So it seems they have one as well as Herne Bay, and I believe this was erected for Queen Victoria. But we can go and have a look. Well, the clock tower has a ball on the top, which I think used to lift at a specific hour. Pretty much like in Deal, but it's a rather splendorous Victoria Jubilat, or Jubilate, how would you say that? Let's have a look at the information. Following much local debate about how best to celebrate Queen Victoria's Golden Jubilee in 1887, the choice of the townspeople was to build a clock tower. Wow. The clock mechanism was produced by William Potts of Leeds. 4 5-foot diameter dials were illuminated by gas. The clock tower was officially opened on the 24th of May 1889, Queen Victoria's 70th birthday. And it says the clock tower is a designated Grade 2 listed building. Fascinating. So we'll just take a little stroll through Margate Gardens here, because we can see an example of the Georgian and Victorian architecture. You've got more wrought iron stuff down there. And I think, oh, look at that, it's got an anchor. Very nice. Palm trees. I'm always reminded of that Neil Diamond song, I Am, I Said. Palm trees grow and rent so low. Keep thinking about making my way back. I suppose the Victorians needed a place to take a turn, so they would come to a designated garden. One of the things that Margate boasts are, unique shops and eateries. You've got Giorgio's restaurant and cafe bar down there, a little Italian. Pasta pizza, all £11 on a Tuesday night. I think fair to middling prices, don't you? I think everything is moderated, there's competition, so it keeps the prices in check. So we're now coming into Cecil Square, which I think was more the prestigious side of Margate with its Georgian and Elizabethan structures. You can see them. And then we get the 70s. Stark. But look, I've got a blue plaque. It's fantastic. I like blue plaques. There's supposed to be 2 here, so I hope I find the second one. That one says, the Duke of Cumberland, brother of George III, 1745 to 1796, lived here. Duke of Cumberland. Now, I'm okay on my history, but someone can drop a comment below. But wasn't the Duke of Cumberland instrumental in the Culloden defeat of the Scots? Is it 1746? And then subsequently the clearances. I'm sure it was Cumberland, Right, where's the other plaque around here? Something to do with the other king, George IV. Nope, not seeing it. Somewhere here, maybe it's one of the numbers, maybe there isn't a plaque, but George IV met his wife here. And he was not a faithful prince stroke king. He had lots of mistresses, and I believe his wife, they didn't have a happy marriage. I love the old post office though. It's got that lovely Georgian look about it. I can't remember the last time I used a post office. I think it's shut. Sourdough breads, coffee, wine shop and pantry goods. I think it's a restaurant. It's no longer a post office. Look, Cecil Square Baptist Church. Look how old that is sitting in there. Let's go down here. This is, what street are we coming into? Hawley Street. Here we've got India House. It says scan here to discover the history of India House. So I'll leave that on the screen. You can scan it if you've got your phone on you, or unless you're watching this on the phone. But up here we have a blue plaque. Phyllis Broughton, 1862 to 1926, was a Gaiety girl, and she lived here. I think the world needs more Gaiety girls, doesn't it? What's a Gaiety girl? Picture of her on screen if I can find one. Just down here was where Joseph, what did I say his name was? Joseph Mallard William Turner studied art while he was a kid here in Margate. Now the thing with Turner is that he was famous in his own lifetime. When I think of artists of that era, hang on, I've just got to moment, Jaguar 3.8S, isn't that lovely? Wow, classic car alert. I do get distracted, but that's the joy of walking around. Now I think I need to go across the road to show you some of these old buildings. Let's do that, and I'll talk about the artists formerly known as. The Gaiety Girl was there, India House. Look at these old buildings, aren't they wonderful? The old town, so you can walk down there to Market Square, but I'm going to go there in a moment because I need to come in through Love Lane. But I love all these old buildings and the fact that they are still here. Gaiety Girls, Love Lane, Margate's got it all. Crossing over. Right, just on this corner is Love Lane. And this is a new building, but in its day, you had a school of art. So here we've got another blue plaque. JMW Turner, 1775 to 1851, artist, attended Coleman School on this site. So this is where he learned to draw. Look, Love Lane, I love it. And we've got George Morland from 1768 to 1804. Artist, lived on this site. So it was Turner who said, Thanet has the best light in Europe. And it's cloudy and overcast now, but it's still quite illuminated. So he's probably right. And he liked to, was one of his famous paintings, the Fighting Temeraire. I don't know much about Turner's art. Anyway, let's look at this, because we're coming into the real old Margate now. Look at these ragstone buildings. Market Square, somewhere around here. Looks lovely, doesn't it? Which one do I want to go down? Look at that, Thanet Times. Hair Stupple Cutter. Crab Museum. And Pie Factory Gallery. The Crown on Broad Street. I bought some art here in that very building. There was an art exhibition, and I mentioned that I did some drama here in Margate, or if I didn't, this is where I took my first acting course. Spent 2 years here, coming to filigree mask, studying. I say studying, it's just immersive learning. And I learned a lot of things. And we'll go to the Old Kent Market in a minute where it was held. So I'm kind of familiar with all of this. Seafront is just down there. Aren't these wonderful, these old buildings? Marketplace. Can you imagine this in its day, having market stalls? Now I've got a couple of blue plaques to show you, which is always a good thing. Margate Museum. Pickled Fox. Let's just see what's through here. It's always a voyage of discovery, isn't it? The Pickled Fox Pizza Bar. Lulu's Sorbet and Gelato. The Wigan Pen. Not a lot going on here. It's lovely though. Data filming, 6th of November. Surprisingly mildly warm, and that's why people are sat outside having lunch and a drink. Now then, I think there's a blue plaque on this very building. Eric Morecambe, OBE, 1926 to 1984, comic, held his wedding reception here in 1952. Do you think Ernie was here as well? Eric and Ernie. Amazing. Eric Morecambe was here. A little stroll up through this alleyway. Look, mural art on the side wall. Mermaids love clean seas. There's some truth in that, I'm sure. The Bull's Head, famous for hosting Eric Morecambe's wedding reception. Mr. B's Sweets and Gifts, look. They've got all the little jars with all their food in them. Food? Sweeties. Lovely. Do you want some strawberry bonbons? Coming along Market Street then, look, Midland Bank. No longer, right? Ramsey and Williams, vintage store ice cream bar. Now, why am I showing you this? Because there's a blue plaque. Karl Marx, father of communism, wasn't he? Or socialism, 1818 to 1883, stayed here in 1886. Famous as the lesser known brother of Groucho, Chico, and Harpo. Just being silly. It's purported that Karl Marx came here because he was suffering from boils. No less, you know? Even the most staunch political leader suffers from the ailments that the everyday man suffers from. And I mentioned at the beginning that Margate was known for its therapeutic or medicinal, the sea air and all of that kind of stuff. So Karl Marx came here to try and sort out his boils. So Margate is and was always an artistic cultural hub. So obviously you had fishing, you had the military, the might of all the ships. Can you imagine all the rigged schooners and battleships, you know, like the Fighting Temeraire, think Nelson's HMS Victory, and the Cinque Ports. And then it's now become a swanky place to visit with all its back alleys and other... Oh, we've got another one. I didn't know this one exists. Prince Frederick, the grand old Duke of York, the original no less, who had 10,000 men, 1763 to 1827, lived here. Did he live in an old pub? I love just stumbling on things, you know? Right, I want to go and look at the old Kent Market, Turner Gallery, might walk down the harbour arm. The best fish and chips in Margate? Peter's Factory. So good, look at the queue. Let's go in the old Kent Market. I mentioned that I did some acting lessons, and Filigree Mask were originally holding their acting lessons in here, the old Kent Market. It's currently undergoing renovation. Let's have a quick look inside, because it's got some quaint little stores. It's lovely in here. Eateries, Tick's Bus Cafe, Taste of Asia. A bakery. Some of the stalls are shut. You can go inside the bus to eat your Asian food. Gosh, I have memories doing all my drama in here. It looks Dickensian, doesn't it? Coffee shop, Fester's Finds, Tindo's, pizza. Let's go upstairs, let's have a look. This would have been an old theatre, I think, which is probably why Karen decided to use it for the acting, because I can imagine it being a theatre. And you'd have had the stage down there, and all the seating, and maybe even people up here watching a show. Hidden treasures. Hey, we've got a record shop. Come here and get your CDs and records. What a lovely ambient area. If you're out in Margate and it's pouring with rain, come and spend half an hour in here. Get yourself a coffee or a bite to eat. It's lovely. It's not very busy. And back out. I think I'm nearly finished, to be quite honest. Let's cross over. So we have walked from the station, which is over there by Burlington Hotel, you can see it there, down through the parade, up the back of the street, and now we're here. I want to actually go into the Turner, it's free. And I did some research online, it said you are permitted to film for non-commercial purposes. Now I would argue, A, my Tudor Travels is not monetized, so I'm not earning any money, so I can film. But when someone says commercial purposes, then you're filming a movie, or you're doing an advert for television, or you're doing a series. That's commercial filming, not a YouTube bod walking around with his camera. So before we go in, let's just have a quick look at the harbour arm. Tide is still in. Seagulls are having a heyday. Now, I don't know if I can show it to you. You've got, at the end of the harbour arm, you've got a statue sitting there. Right next to it, and I'll push the camera up a bit, are the Reculver Towers. You saw me mention that in the Herne Bay video, and I'll zoom in. It will pixelate, but what are you going to do, right? Right, shall we go in? I've got to put the tripod away, so we'll just nip in and see if I can do some filming. And if I can, just have a look and see what they're displaying, and perhaps overlay some music with 2 or 3 minutes footage. Contemporary art, are we in for that? Okay, and these two?
Yeah, these two.
What? How? I mean, I assume the place is huge, right?
Yeah.
So normally, where would you go? Up here and up?
You go up, but it is just one floor upstairs.
Okay. So they're redoing it for that exhibition, and then 6 months completely, it will be open, and you can.
Yeah.
Okay. Trying to get my wording right, but
No,
I understand.
sense. Yeah.
But that makes sense because then you've got a new attraction for people to come along, and it doesn't get tired, right?
Yeah, and kind of for locals, it's nice to see.
So this is the Turner Contemporary. Are there any other Turners, or am I thinking Tate Modern and
Tate, which a lot of people do.
Yeah. Then you're not affiliated.
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah. So we're called Turner because this is the spot where he painted.
Okay.
So this big sort of sky and sea is what he often talks about and calling it the loveliest in Europe. And we do have one Turner painting upstairs, but our focus is on contemporary.
When one Turner painting, so I mean he was actually quite famous in his time, because I think failed artists like Van Gogh sold one piece in his time. So Turner was.
Oh yeah, he was accepted into the Royal Academy.
And you've got one of his paintings here.
Yeah, but our focus is the contemporary. So
I'd like to see more Turner. I don't know a lot about him, but
they're in Tate Britain in London. So
is that the one on Millbank along that way?
Yes, yeah.
And I need to watch the movie, whether it's true or not, with Timothy Spall.
Yes, the movie is
Have you
great.
seen it?
Yeah. The movie's
worth
very good.
watching.
Yeah, and it shows parts of Margate, and he stayed in a bed and breakfast, and then married the owner. So that was all on this spot. So all
because I saw a blue plaque that said he was at Coleman School or something. Was he born here, or did he just come here as a child and then went to school?
Yes, and it was in his later life that he lived here with the bed and breakfast owner.
Okay. Yeah. Wonderful, thank you very much. It's shut. You've got the cafe that's open, and you've got the gift shop because, well, you heard. Now I've got to put all that footage together with her little dialogue, because that was really helpful, giving me that information. And see if I can't just put a montage with her explaining what was going on. So that was Margate. It's fascinating. It smells very sea, but why would it not? I can smell the seaweed, and it's not the Asian cuisine. The old market, lots of blue plaques, Market Street, Market Square. I didn't walk along the promenade there because I wanted to go up into the town. But yeah, you can come here in the summer and it's heaving. Today is, as I said, the 6th of November, so it's not particularly, you know, it's out of season, to be quite honest. Okay, so that was Margate. We've now chalked off Whitstable, Hanbay, Margate. Next on the list is just around the corner, the Dickensian seaside town of Broadstairs. So if you're not subscribed and you want to see that, hit the subscribe button, because that's going to be the next video. A little stroll around Broadstairs, which I think will be fascinating. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.